Stop off, look at the garden. Update on the plants real quick. Anyway, we've had a couple of dry days, but I'm still watering them. These tomato plants are really starting to take off and build strength to them. Anyway, I'm gonna have to separate them and move them. The pepper plants are starting to grow. I've separated them a little bit better. I've got a couple more tomato plants I'm gonna need to find a home for. These pepper plants, these two right here are a little slow, but these two are starting to take off. Look at the size of that broccoli. Anyway, I don't know how long, but anyway, one day we're gonna be eating fresh broccoli. Anyway, lettuce, even after several salads, we got a lot of lettuce. This is a mixture of lettuce. We've got some spinach and some leafy lettuce. Over here, we've got a lot of flowers for some strawberries. Strawberry plant, and we've got a tomato here too. But the strawberry plant is starting to flower. We'll see if it'll produce any strawberries. Anyway, Martha bought some cilantro, and she planted the 2 cilantro plants together. We got some more spinach. I need to hurry up and get these pepper plants in the ground. They're not happy. I'll have to do that tomorrow. These tomato plants are a little bit slower, but they're starting to take off. Got another tomato plant here, another tomato plant here, but these carrots are growing pretty quickly. Over here on the buckets, these cucumber plants are starting to really take off. Anyway, I'm gonna relocate those and build an arch for them to grow quite a bit when they take off. I've got these potato plants. All of these have got 360 drip sprinklers on them, and that fires twice a day to keep them wet. Inside the greenhouse, the next step will be to basically take out this fish tank heater and light. I'm gonna move some I'm gonna move some of the tomato plants in here, some of the pepper plants in here, and maybe put another pepper plant in here. Spinach is going pretty good. Over here, these 3 pepper plants I put in here, they're starting to grow pretty quickly. This aloe vera plant's not very happy. I think maybe I need to put it outside in the sun a little bit more. Bunching onions are doing pretty well. This broccoli plant I planted last year, and I'm just kind of waiting to see if it actually crowns. But anyway, it's been in here over a year. If it doesn't do something pretty quickly, I'll move that and make room for something else. I've got some more strawberries in the greenhouse. That way I could see if they'll grow, you know, how much they'll grow in the year round. Tomato, jelly bean tomatoes, that's part of the plants that I ordered, and really none of them have done very well, but that one is starting to grow, so we'll see. All right, well, let me fill up this bed, and I'm gonna mix some different things in here. I'm gonna put a little bit of mushroom compost. There's a bag of this Miracle-Gro garden soil that's ready to go. It was $2 a bag. We'll mix a little bit of black cow. Put a little bit of earthworm castings in there. A little crab meal fertilizer in there. Perlite for water retention. Like a big mixer. A little bit of this real high quality soil. Mix that in. This soil here is like $27 a bag. I used all that soil for the fabric bags because it was highly recommended for use with the fabric bags. Put a Roma tomato plant in here. All right, and then we have this giant Marconi pepper, big Bertha sweet pepper. And I'll do a Barren Red sweet pepper in the back. And I have these irrigation tubes that were run from last year. Set it for 2 minutes. You can hear the water starting to come. As the water pressure builds up, you start to get the spray. It's initial watering and fill it up with lots of nutrients. So I do a 3 mix. I put some fish emulsion, a spoonful of Miracle Grow, and I put some Calc Magic to give it some calcine. And then I just fill this container up with water and I give it a good watering. It's really going to smell fishy. Not only do we have lots of crabs, but now we have fish, which is just dead fish parts. So anyway, we put the leaves on here, and in the wintertime, a real thick layer of leaves is good because it's going to protect the plant from the cold. Now this time of the year, it's not exactly cold, is not exactly the issue at this point. But what it is going to do, it's going to keep the bacteria and the organisms from the soil from getting bleached and burned up. It's May 22nd of 2022, and the garden is coming along pretty good. I've got these 2 tomato plants. One of them is starting to flower here. This one's starting to take off. It's been a little bit slow. We've got our peppers, and they've been very slow. I put some 7 down as we've got some bugs that are starting to eat some of the leaves. Anyway, and then these 2 tomato plants right here are really taking off with its basil. I got those in a cage. I've already harvested some strawberries here. We've got some more growing here. Over here, we've gotten quite a bit of rain, and the bed is sinking a little bit, so I'm going to need to procure a little bit more soil. But anyway, we've got a beet plant here, some more tomatoes. These are carrots. And let me pull one of these carrots, because one of the things we found is once these carrots get real big, they stop growing inside. That's a big carrot plant right there. And we got some tomatoes, more tomatoes, and look at these. These are all carrot plants that are growing here. We've got another 2 tomato plants and a basil plant right here, and then right there we've got a purple basil. These are the 2 broccoli plants, and we've harvested this huge head of broccoli here. I think I waited a little too long to harvest this one, but we ate some broccoli for a couple of days there. This is a lettuce plant that I think it's about time to go. I planted we've got a lettuce and a spinach plant in there, and I planted a tomato plant in there that did not do very well in the beginning. Right here, I've got a cabbage plant and then a couple of pepper plants, and there's a little bug that's kind of eating all these, but we're gonna see if we can treat that. I also put this arch up. This arch basically goes between the 2 beds. I put this up, and I'm gonna plant some. I got a cucumber plant on this side and a cucumber plant on this side here, and the plan is I'm gonna just basically grow the cucumbers up and over, but this one here is not quite tall enough to start routing it in that direction. Over here, I've got 2 cucumber plants right here. Actually, there's multiple cucumber plants, but 2 pots full of cucumbers. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna buy another one of those trellis, and I'm gonna put the cage over the back side here and grow them over here. We've got some potato plants. I'm not certain exactly when we want to harvest these. I think it's when the leaves start to change, so I'm gonna wait. That cilantro plant that I just transplanted into a bigger pot. Anyway, we've got a cilantro plant there. Inside the greenhouse, I watered these this morning, so I probably need to see, you know, they weren't very happy with the watering this morning, so I'm gonna tie these up. Got a tomato plant here I've already tied and hung up. Got a tomato plant here I've already tied and hung up. In another video, I'll show you how I built a little, I don't know if I'll use this as a planter or if I'll use this as a quick potting area, but I went ahead and built one of those. Anyway, I took the spinach plant out. It was at its end, but we've got lots of lettuce to eat there. And then I planted 2 tomato plants and 2 pepper plants. But anyway, as a garden, everything seems to be doing pretty good this year. We've got a couple tomato plants in there. The carrot plant inside this bag did not take off as much as I thought it would. So I may actually transfer those seeds into one of these beds and see what's happening. And we're kind of getting too late in the season for spinach. It's too hot, so they're not too happy. Well, good morning. It's the Saturday before Memorial Day, and we've gotten some rain. And everything is happy. And look at the garden here. This is crazy. Now, I'd tell you, I'd go through by the plants, but anyway, there's too many plants to go through. This is a type of tomato plant. I believe these are celebrity tomato plants here. So we got 2 celebrity tomato plants. We've got basil right here. Actually, it's split up into 2 basil plants. We've got actually, this is all one huge basil plant. Look at how much that's grown up. I wasn't certain those basil plants were going to make it. Anyway, I planted a cucumber, and it's starting to take off. So this morning, I pulled it out of here and wrapped it around the vine. I wrapped the vine around the support, and we'll see what happens. We've got another tomato plant there. That one is back here. Right here, we've got a sweet pepper plant. And then we've got 3 tomatoes that are starting to sprout. This is a celebrity tomato plant. Back in the back here, we've got a pepper plant. I may end up having to thin out or relocate. Ooh, I've got a pepper plant there. It's getting ready to grow a pepper there. And these peppers are multicolored peppers. It just came in a box of seeds, so I really not gonna know what kind of pepper I got until they come out. And then here's a red basil. Right here, we've got more of the bell color pepper mix. And again, I'm not gonna know what color pepper comes out until they bloom. Another bell colored pepper plant. I planted 3 of these. And then this right here is cabbage. I planted that, didn't know how big the cabbage was gonna get, but anyway, it looks like it's gonna take over. We're in May, and I honestly thought lettuce would be dying by now. But anyway, this is a leaf lettuce plant, and look at how big that stalk is. We've already eaten a ton of lettuce off of this plant. Another lettuce plant here. Okay, we've got I relocated a tomato plant that was really in bad shape, and it took a while, but it's starting to get going here. Here's more lettuce, and here's a spinach plant. These are cool season plants, and then this one here's the one that's really surprising. I got a big head of broccoli off of this plant, and then I had another broccoli plant right here. I pulled that one out, and I decided I'm going to eat a couple more leaves of this broccoli plant, and then I'm going to go. And I came out here yesterday, and it's growing another head of broccoli. And considering we're getting up into the 90s some days, I'm kind of surprised that it wants to grow broccoli. We're well above average with our temperatures. Okay, now we've got a couple tomato plant and a basil plant. I always plant basil next to tomato. This one here is the Roma tomato plant. So we've got a big Roma tomato plant here. This one here is, I don't know what kind of tomato that one is. And that kind of, that's all one big tomato plant there. I'm gonna need to come up with a way to support that off of this thing coming up pretty soon. And then these are all my carrot plants. I've already harvested one of my purple carrots. And right here, another tomato plant that I really did not think was gonna make it. This is a beefsteak tomato plant here. And we've got it flowering. And then we've got a sweet pepper, yum sweet pepper plant there. Put lemongrass in a bucket. I decided to do that because the lemongrass is very evasive and it'll just take over the entire bed. So we're keeping it to this 5-gallon bucket. This right here is another celebrity tomato plant. I basically just harvested a beet. That beet didn't like getting pulled out of the ground when I was pulling out the other one. Now, one thing I'm going to do next year, and I did not do it, I'm doing 6-inch gardening. But anyway, That means I plant 6 inches apart, and as you can see, they're kind of taking over a little bit. But what ended up happening this year is I grew some plants from seeds. I went and we found a nursery that sold 4 plants for $2.25 in a you know, the same plant for $2.25. So I came and planted all those too. So I ran out of space quickly. So wherever I had a couple inches, I planted a plant. So this is my 6-inch gardening. Next year, I'm going to basically plant seeds using the square foot net method. And I've already bought the square foot template, so I'll be ready to go next year. One of the things that I find so amazing is how much soil the soil has been composting. Anyway, when I planted this bed, the soil came all the way up to the edge. However, we're now we're 3 rivets down from below, and it didn't really start expanding until the plants expanded. And then over here, same thing. Once the plants started growing, the soil level has dropped in all of these. Now, not as much plants have been growing in this one here, so the soil level hasn't dropped as much. So it's kind of amazing to kind of watch how, when the nutrients are taken out of the soil, you can actually see the nutrients from the soil actually going into the plants. But I am going to, and I'm sure some of it is due to settling, but the amount of explosion right as the plants were growing, that became pretty apparent. So anyway, this right here we decide is probably a sunflower. I thought it was a tomato, but it wasn't really grown like a tomato. And then this right here, again, I ran out of places to put tomato plants, so I put 3 tomato plants in a 15-gallon fabric pot. So anyway, we've got another, this is another cabbage plant here. And then this is the back of the broccoli, but as you can see, the back of the broccoli. But here's my 22 inches of space. Go back here, but I'm gonna have to weave myself back here between the plants when I come back here. We've harvested some strawberries. As you can see that they're growing, there's a lot of them. I don't know if I like this container for holding strawberries. I think you need a little bit more room. Inside the greenhouse, we've got a couple of tomato plant here. It's called a Cherry Garden Delight tomatoes. We've got a broccoli plant here, and this broccoli plant's been going for 2 years, and it has never produced a broccoli stem. I wanted to see, since it started growing, if it would. I'll probably thin this plant out real soon. Anyway, we've got another tomato plant here. This is a, and then we've got a bunch of bunching onions, and this is a celebrity tomato plant here. These celebrity plants are doing pretty well, and I'm supporting these off the greenhouse using twine and tomato clips. On this side here, I've got another cabbage plant. We're putting 7 down because we're getting some bugs that are eating the leaves. Anyway, we've got a pepper plant, not exactly certain what kind of pepper plant, but anyway, we've got a couple pepper plants. And then this right here is my lettuce plant, and it's just decided to lay over and go, so we need to hurry up and eat that lettuce and spinach before it's gone. We've got 1, 2 pepper plants and 2 tomato plants in here. And I would just, honestly, I'm kind of surprised at how quickly this stuff is filled in. Again, this is Memorial Day weekend, so this is a month of growth. I'm not at all surprised out here because we got about an inch of rain after it had been dry for some time. So once they got some water, a rain, they really exploded. Now over here, I had 2 cucumber buckets, and they had 3 cucumber buckets per 15-gallon container. And I think what I need to do is I need to go a little bit lighter when I'm planting these items. But anyway, I moved the lettuce and the spinach over here so it would be so it could be shaded a little bit. We got a pepper plant here. Not certain what kind of pepper. It's a sweet pepper plant. I've got 3 pepper plants that I just planted in here because the tomato plant didn't do very well. It's laying down because there was a cucumber plant. I shifted everything this way, but there were 2 cucumber pots, 2 15-gallon containers with cucumber plants, And so anyway, I moved everything down, but the cucumbers was laying on top of that pepper plant, so we'll see if it'll grow. And then look at this, I've already got some banana peppers growing in this plant here. So anyway, a couple more weeks I may have it. This right here I think is cilantro. Yeah, it's cilantro. But anyway, we planted this in a fabric pot because it outgrew its regular pot. And then these are all kinds of potatoes and stuff like that. I'm not exactly certain when we need to harvest this stuff. I think it's when the leaves start to die off. And so we'll see some leaves that are starting to die, and then it seems like they come back. So I don't know how much longer we need to grow those. And then here's all my cucumber plants. And look at that. There's a bee going in there and spreading the nectar, and basically going to provide some fruit for us. But anyway, there's 3 cucumber plants per 15-gallon container, and this was a mess. It looks really bad because it was all tangled up. But anyway, I'm trying to route it up. This new support I bought off of Amazon, it's $59, and this is definitely a lot more solid than what I bought from Big Lots. It also has a lot more places to route your cucumbers from. Oh, you know what? There's a little cucumber right there. Anyway, I've got 2 15-gallon containers with 3 plants apiece. So I've got 6 cucumber plants in here, and may eventually need to thin them out. All right. Well, it's Friday, June 17th, and it's very hot this week. We got up to 91 today, and we got up to 100 on Wednesday, 99 on Thursday, and luckily where we're at, every day we've gotten a pretty big thunderstorm. But we are now under a severe thunderstorm warning, so let me update you on the plants outside real quick. All right, the winds are picking up here. But anyway, let's real quickly start over in this area here. Our Roma tomato plants I grew here, we got lots of tomatoes growing, waiting for them to turn. This is our lettuce plant. Another lettuce plant. I think I'm going to harvest these and pull these out. The broccoli plant is getting a lot of bugs, but believe it or not, the broccoli is still producing broccoli. Over here we have pepper plants that are flowering and starting to produce peppers. This pepper plant's getting crowded out by the cabbage. I might move it. We've got lots of larger green peppers that are starting to grow on this plant here, and peppers that are starting to grow on this plant here. Tons of tomato plants. Got tons of tomatoes coming in here. We've got a couple of peppers that are sprouting here. Large tomatoes coming back there. I can't wait for those to turn. Basil and tomato plants here. More tomato plants. All right. We got tons of Roma tomatoes here. I think I planted 2 or 3 Roma tomato plants, but we've got the tomatoes that are cropping up there. We've got basil. My carrots are still growing, although they're pretty small. I harvested a couple of them over there. I'll show you the picture here. Tomatoes growing over here. More tomatoes growing in this plant here. And then look at down underneath here. Look at how low the soil has gotten in all of these bins. It's really going down. But I've got tomatoes in there. A cabbage plant in the back. More tomatoes. Anyway, around here we've got banana peppers, a weird looking green pepper here. Potatoes, I harvested a few potatoes. You can see the picture there. And we've got some cucumbers over here. Inside the greenhouse, a little bit more protected from the lightning in here. Anyway, I've got this is a cherry tomato plant here. It's starting to sprout some cherry tomatoes. We've got regular celebrity tomatoes here. This is a huge plant. This plant goes all the way over to there in the back there. I've got another celebrity tomato plant here. These are huge tomatoes. I can't wait till they start to turn. I've got a cabbage plant here. It's growing pretty big. I've got pepper plant here. Probably need to spread some 7 down. This pepper plant's getting in. The cabbage plant is starting to get eaten up a little bit. I've got a Roma tomato plant here. Another tomato plant in the back that doesn't really seem to be basically flowering at all, so I may take that one out. I've got a pepper plant here that's producing the green colored banana peppers there. Here in the greenhouse, I did not put any type of sunshade on it or anything like that. It's getting up to about 109, 108 during the daytime. Here we've actually had a heat wave here. We've been in the 90s all week. We've harvested some strawberries here. We got the tomato plant down there. So anyway, this is the garden as it is in June. It's grown a lot quicker than I thought it would. I'm gonna basically take those lettuce plants out and now let's take a real quick look at the garden. And as you can see, these plants that are planted way too close together are going crazy against one another. And we got lots of fruit coming. The tomatoes are coming out, the tomatoes are coming out. We've got lots of tomatoes. We've got some peppers that are coming through. Look at these big peppers right here. These things are huge. I moved this pepper plant from an area where it wasn't performing. I moved this pepper plant, and I moved this pepper plant to an area that was in the too much dimness. It's nice of the trash to finally come almost 5 days too late. We've got our tomato plant here. We've got some tomatoes that are even sprouting up in this bed right. Ooh, there's a bug on top of that one. That's what eats the tomato. Anyway, so we got a nice looking tomato here. We've got all these peppers here. I even see a tomato back there that I can't get to. Anyway, I learned a big valuable lesson this year that you basically just want to grow a couple of seeds yourself and then just go pick up some plants at a nursery, because they're actually not that expensive compared to nursing them yourself, and they really get going quickly. But anyway, I got a lot of Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, lots of tomatoes coming up. Now this is a full tomato beefsteak tomato, but the plant is so small it can't do it. We got a couple more cherry tomatoes here and here. Anyway, I'll let the people that are visiting come and see. There's my cabbage plant. Got some bugs that we're addressing with that. This is another pepper plant. These pepper plants inside the greenhouse, sometimes they don't produce peppers, so I think they're just not getting enough insects. I decided to try it one more time this year. But anyway, we've got some tomatoes and pepper plants right here. Oh, we do have a pepper growing on this pepper plant. It's this one here. Has produced a nice pepper. All right, over here, I've got tons of banana peppers. And anyway, these right here are potato plants. And I'm gonna go ahead and just look at what it looks like to harvest some of these potatoes, because I see the plants are kind of going through their cycle. Cucumbers, look at that big boy right there. I'll wait and let someone pick that later today. Anyway, and then I've got another cucumber plant right here. Now, one thing that we messed up with the cucumber plant is I planted them, I basically moved them over here once I bought this trellis so they could grow up. So I should have actually had that in place when I first planted them and got them started. Oh, wow. Look at that one. Smaller size one here. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And I hope you have a better green thumb than I do. Hello everyone, Paul's here, and the battery's dead.